everybody, to We Geek Podcast. Today is July 20th, 2016, and my name's Adam, joined by my good friend Logan.
Hello.
And if you're listening to us in Japan, you now have Pokemon Go.
Oh, was that finally today?
Yeah, I was reading that they're launching it today on the 20th in Japan. I was reading that they knew the servers couldn't handle it. They knew that Japan was going to jump on this like nothing they've seen before, and so it was an issue. They knew they had to hold off on it. I was reading also the first sponsored deal takes place, and it's apparently with McDonald's there. So every McDonald's is going to be a gym there, which makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, so I imagine that's gonna be everywhere, you know.
Yeah. It's interesting though that it's McDonald's over there and not over here.
Well, it's gonna happen. I can almost guarantee it. I haven't read anything, but that's the thing. They didn't talk too much about their deal yet.
Right.
But only in Japan so far. That is the big sponsor. It's probably gonna come here. I would be shocked if McDonald's all over America it doesn't become gyms, and suddenly you got the toys there, and suddenly you get like, a special. Or what do you call them? Shiny Meowth or something. And that's the other thing. They haven't really. There's no shiny yet.
We don't know anything. We've had this game for like 2 weeks now. We don't know anything yet.
That's very true. That's just wait until some shiny Pokemon show up and people lose their shit. And like people that play the game like us are gonna be like, oh, those are shiny Pokemon, and your friends are gonna be like, what? So now there's like rare, like super rare, and it's gonna be like one in 10,000 chance or whatever to get it. That's gonna be really cool.
I mean, I don't know. That first of all, that number would have to be a lot higher because we'd have seen them by now. They're at like 30 million downloads for this app already.
Yeah, it's insanity. Last time I checked, and I could be wrong, but Nintendo is now worth more than Sony.
There's part of me that is just not surprised.
Right, we are recording this on Tuesday, and that was the news article that broke, is that Nintendo is now worth more than Sony.
Now we're talking about total value?
Total value. Their stocks went up.
But
Their value is worth more.
It went up so much. I mean, I'm not talking like per share. Like they're not trading higher per share. You mean like the entire total worth of Nintendo?
Nintendo. Here, I'll read the article from BBC News. Nintendo Rally sees its market value soar past Sony. Yeah, it jumped 7.5 billion in 4 days.
Jesus.
Makes sense, right?
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of level we're at here, where the company goes. I mean, let's think about it, and we'll get into all the news and everything, of course. But I mean, let's think about it. This generation, for the last few years, Nintendo has tanked. Sony has been the champion.
Yeah. And
in 1.5 weeks, and Nintendo Apple makes more money off of this game than Nintendo does, if you think about it. But I think Apple gets like 30% of the revenue. Same with Google.
Right.
And Nintendo makes a fraction of that, because it makes a fraction of what the Pokemon company makes. And
right, I was gonna say it has to go through the Pokemon company and Niantic first, I would think, right?
Exactly. So, and that's a whole mess. Like I was listening to a podcast over the weekend. I was reading some articles. The ownership of Pokemon is a giant mess.
Yeah. Well, that explains the bidding war for the film rights.
Yes, exactly. It's not as simple as Mario and Donkey Kong and whatnot. It's apparently Nintendo owns 1/3. They own like 33% of the Pokemon company, which consists of, I don't even know off the top of my head, but it's like 3 different companies. Nintendo's one of them. The people who make it,
Game Freak, they're part of it, yeah.
Right, and I'm not sure. See, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's crazy. I mean, I, yeah, Game Freak, Nintendo. There's another company involved in there, but I think those are the two big ones that are in it. Yeah, I don't know. I Creatures. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, and then on top of that, like you said, they have these other deal with Niantic that made it, and then of course Google and Apple get a piece of the pie as well, 30%. So, it's crazy. But of course, that's the name recognition that it has. That when people saw how good Pokemon was, and when people saw just how big it was, they dropped money in Nintendo because the name recognition. It's not, you know, they didn't put it in Sony. They put it in Nintendo, and it's crazy that overnight it skyrocketed. Now, who's to say in the next week or two that doesn't drop or whatnot? But especially with all the NX and all that news and everything coming out, it's going to be interesting. You never count Nintendo out. I've done it a million times. Um,
Yeah,
we've talked about it.
I know I have too, and I still like I'm still not crazy about like this would have been great like if any of us had had any sense like a week before Pokemon Go came out, we would have bought the hell out of Nintendo stock.
Right, and we were excited. We were like, we've been waiting for this forever. I updated my phone. Like we've been excited, but to me, I think we kind of live in a bubble, and I don't think that the outside of that bubble would have gotten as excited. I honestly think, like in my group chat, that it would have been me talking about it. Of course, you would have been talking about it. A few other people, but not like this.
No,
Not
I
like
nobody saw this coming. No way.
No, and it's gotten to the point where like I'm going through my Facebook feed and I'm like, I want to see something out. Like, is there a funny meme today, or is there a news story that I can share that's interesting? And no, it is just all Pokemon. And hey, I like that. I love that. We live in a world where Pokemon talk has taken over for like just small talk, and that I love that.
I went
Like I
into
love that you can meet someone on the street and be like, "Oh, you catch a Pokemon? Do you know where you see the Charmander? I see and then like suddenly you're talking with people and your friends, and you met your neighbor that you might not have talked to. Uh, you know, Funny story. I went and hung out with my mom this weekend, doing some family stuff, and she finally. I'm not supposed to say this, I guess. She's embarrassed, but she finally broke down and got the game when we were out to eat, and three tables next to us were all talking about it. And she's like, "All right, let's see what it's." And she was totally in. We were out. We went around our neighborhood, and we went to places she's never walked to, just because we were like, "There's a Nidoran or something over there," and she got just a, and then we just walked all day like for the rest of the time I was hanging out with her, and it was so cool. That now the weekend before, I mean, if you remember me saying we went to the pool and whatnot, she wasn't too like I'm gonna do it. Now she's all in on it. She's sending me pictures of what she caught, and that's the kind of like to get someone who's not into video games at all and just reel them in. That's crazy.
it's un absolutely unreal the
Oh yeah.
scope of this thing. It's insane. I went in I what like 3 days after it launched. I ordered Italian from a place just up the road here. I went in and picked him up, and like as I'm waiting there, I'm wearing my Pikachu shirt, and the hostess it just kind of looks over and goes, "I caught a Charmander in my front yard yesterday."
Yeah.
Just like totally right in the middle of everything, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is part of the conversation now." Like it's so like, and I want I'm still waiting on apologies from half the people on my Facebook page who were that group that was like, oh yeah, remember when we folded you up into that top locker? Yeah, we need tips on where to find the ghost Pokemon.
Right,
No, no,
exactly.
no. You come forward and grovel first, and then I'll help you.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's so cool seeing. Like I said, my group of friends were really diverse. Like I'm kind of the oddball out, me and just a few others that are into it, and it's awesome to see them all into it.
Yeah.
And me and a few other people went Sunday to Crane's Roost, uh, to go catch them. But I wanted to say, also, I talked to a buddy of mine. He works for a company, Pegasus, and We Geek Podcast is actually sponsoring a Pokemon Go tour in Orlando. So the tour dates, there's three of them. It's Sunday, July 24th, Saturday, July 30th, and Sunday, July 31st. It's $25 per person, and they take you to three different locations. They pick you up at the Florida Mall. We go to Crane's Roost, Lake Eola, Winter Park, and then we go back to the Florida Mall, drop off. And I believe it's like from 12:30 to 5. And yeah, it picks you up, takes you all these different places. You get to hang out with a bunch of different people who love Pokemon Go and love Pokemon and just want to hang out. And when he asked me to be a part of that, of course I was like, yes, I'm in. So I'll be there Sunday doing that. So if you're in, definitely, I'm gonna post it all on the Facebook group. And
You know what,
yeah, just look for that link. It's already there. I think you posted it already.
yeah, it could always stand a refresh. Tell people,
Yep.
like, explain Pegasus. Some people may not know what that is.
Right, it's a bus company. They do tours in Orlando for different things. And for this one, it's going to be all Pokemon related. So it's got free Wi-Fi on the bus. So it's got like a free 4G Wi-Fi. Holds up to about 61 seats. And it's one of those big buses that you would take to, like, let's say you're in Orlando and you're going to like UFC event or something that's in Tampa. It's a big, nice air conditioned bus that takes you there. So it's like that. But yeah, so that's pretty much what we're doing. So, that is Sunday. And then those other dates. But yeah, that's where I'm going to be there. Definitely let them know if you give them a call or you send them an email, that you heard from us, from We Geek Podcast. And we're going to put all of that on the website. So look for that.
Excellent.
Oh,
Excellent.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know you wish you could be here, dude.
Man, you're not kidding. Like, I look around and I like every night I open the app and I look around and I'm like, God, that's right. There's literally not a Pokestop for a mile. Like,
Oh
I was
wow.
like, oh, I'm sad. There's some decent Pokemon around here. Like, there's like just a little ways down the hill is where I caught my Psyduck and a Clefairy and some stuff. So I was, so it's not a Pokemon desert, but like there's nothing, like I've got to drive downtown to
Yeah.
start running into any of this stuff. Like there's just nothing out this way.
Well, here's what I did. Yeah, I know there's nothing your way. Gotta find in your area where's the most congested, because what I did, we go to a place called Crane's Roost, and it's one of the stops that we're going to. With the tour, there's 4 Pokestops literally on top of each other. So people just put in the lures there, 4 of them on top of each other with everyone there. It was like there's a Slowbro suddenly, and then there's a Snorlax, and you get all these rare Pokemon. I found, now I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's because so many people are there or if it's 4 lures on top of each other, but suddenly you got a Ponyta, suddenly you got a Vulpix, suddenly you got these weird ones that you don't really see chilling in your neighborhood. The water ones, you got to go by water. The Psyducks, you'll get a million of them as long as you're by water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why Crane's Roost is kind of perfect, because it has the park, it has the water, and it has that spot with the lures. So people just constantly keep walking back and forth. Like, I got enough Bulbasaurs there over the weekend to get an Ivysaur today. So yeah, and I got a bunch of Pikachus. I never see Pikachus, and then I get them at that park. I got like 3 of them in a row.
Nice.
And it was cool. Like, over the weekend, I also went to my grandfather's, and I rode not my bike, his bike, to the park. And I hung out with there, met some people, stayed there for like an hour and a half, came back, and then the next day, Sunday, went to Crane's Roost, saw the same people walking around the park. And they're like, hey, we saw you at the park. Like, it was really bizarre and really cool at the same time.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I loved it. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing Sunday. That's what we're gonna. Who are we kidding? That's what we're gonna be doing every day for a while now, until it gets boring. And maybe we'll talk about this later on in the show. But what's the contingency plan here? What needs to happen for us not to get bored?
Events.
Events. Yes. And I was thinking about that. Like, to release a legendary between a specific time and you have to go to GameStops, that has to be a thing. You know,
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely. Oh, yeah.
or McDonald's. Like suddenly you get a Zapdos for this week if you visit a McDonald's.
Yeah, but I think that's a little too cheap. No,
You're right,
and
but
not
how else would you do that?
I. It's
Visit
in.
10 McDonald's?
Is it well? I yeah. I don't know, and I wonder. Do you like? Are some of them region locked? And I don't
They
mean like
are.
nationality wise, but I mean like specifically like, oh, you can only go. Like a lot of people don't think Florida would be a perfect place for a Zapdos because it's
Well,
the lightning capital of practically the world.
there are region locked Pokemon.
Are
I,
there?
I need to bring up the list here. Um, from what I understand, Farfetch'd is going to be Asian. Hold on, Asia. I think Tauros is America.
Right.
Oh, I gotta find it here.
Interesting. So there is a little red and blue going on here.
Yes, yes.
Interesting.
But the one thing is that you can hatch them all from an egg.
There you go. Now you see. There we go. I like that. I like
Yes,
that little workaround. That
yes,
that is cool.
yes. I can't find it. Um, uh, region locked Pokemon. I wish I had the list up in front of me. um, let's see here. I don't know. All right,
But no,
hold
that's
on.
that's. But yeah, I think that's something you could do with legendaries and make them timed, make them just a few days, and also limit them one per. You're not catching 4 or 5 Zapdos. You get one.
Oh, okay.
Now, and if it runs, you can come back. But if you catch it, that's it. I really think like the big legendaries should be, the main 5. The 3 birds, Mew and Mewtwo, should be limited to one per.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's I, I don't know. I don't and there's a way to do that, I'm sure. Lock it to, oh, this ID has been registered, blah blah blah, whatever.
Well, once trading becomes a thing,
Right, there's that too. Like, and that's something you're just going to be stuck with.
right? Yeah, I mean, in a way, I don't know if trading would hurt the game too, because once you can trade, then like
I think
you're gonna fill up your Pokédex pretty fast.
right, but I also think that not only does that encourage more social, but then you're also looking for who's got the best what. It's not just like, oh hey, because like right now, I'm slowly working. I'm trying to get a couple more Pidgeys and Rattatas for the lucky egg trick.
Hmm.
Which once I decide to pull the trigger on that, like I can finally, hopefully get another couple levels up. But
Oh,
like
I've done that like 4 times now, and I'll fully admit I've spent money on this game.
oh dude, I have two. Like because like the second day I ran out of Pokeballs and I'm like, nope, I need 200.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like
yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah.
got the 200, and for 10 I got 200 for the and then the both expansions for the items and the Pokemon.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, cool. I'm good. Like I'm set for a little while. But that's I had to kind of do that because like I said, I live nowhere near any Pokestops. So
Right.
there's no replenishing these Pokeballs.
Yeah, and see, I do a great job when I go out on the weekend, like on Saturday, Sunday, and I go to the stops and I can fill up. But during the week when I'm at home and I'm working and whatnot,
Yeah.
it's like I just went through 100 Pokeballs,
Uh-huh.
catching Pidgey after Pidgey after Pidgey, and I mean that's why I think I'm level 19 now, so it's gotten me up a lot. But at the same time, like the higher you go, the harder it kind of gets. Um,
Yeah, but the more they're worth it cuz then that's when you start building a gym team.
that's true though,
Cuz you
because my Vaporeon's like he's huge.
yeah.
But the okay, so here's the rumor, and here are the ones. Mr. Mime exclusive to Europe, Tauros exclusive to North America, Farfetch exclusive to Asia, Kangaskhan exclusive to Australia. Now, if that's true, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, all of that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that's really cool. Uh, let's see here. The
Man,
top
you know what I'm disappointed in?
what?
That going downtown and catching a buzz has not become a meme with Electabuzz. I'm
Right.
very disappointed that nobody has jumped on that bandwagon yet. And I mean, I don't know, are they just that hard to find? Because I haven't found any.
You should do it, man. I went downtown, saw so many signs for if you catch a Pokemon in here, you get 10% off of your drink.
Yeah, we had actually Statesville in a really 21st century thing, which is strange up here. Did like a walking tour downtown for a couple hours yesterday.
Yeah.
It was from like 6 to 8, and it basically started in one corner of downtown and like kind of worked its way all the way to the other corner.
Oh
It was
yeah,
like,
everyone's trying to capitalize.
yeah, and
Um,
they should.
oh, this is huge for especially small businesses.
Yeah.
I've seen, we've talked about the shop and whatnot. Aaron, said absolutely is bringing business in.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, and I saw a few articles online just talking about how this is a really good thing for small businesses, and it gets people in their doors,
Yes.
gets them walking around, gets them stopping in. I even saw like kids at the park selling, you know, um, uh, chips and drinks and whatnot, 50 cents, whatever. And I'm sure it was illegal, but whatever.
Well,
Like,
yeah, but I mean something like that. Who cares? Like
exactly. Oh.
if you're really the kind of if you're really gonna come and bust like a lemonade stand type thing, like just
Oh yeah, and I love
boo.
the videos online of the police officers pulling up to like a Pokestop, and it's like midnight, and then suddenly they're blaring the Pokemon music,
Yeah.
the theme song, and I'm just like, how great is that? Like that's cool. Like that's a cool cop. That's someone going, hey, I know what they're doing, and we're gonna brighten their mood for a moment and not break it up or whatever. And I thought that was so cool.
Community building. That's what's so great about this. And people like I understand some people want to tear it down because they think it's stupid and juvenile, and that's fine. I'm sorry you've lost your childhood, but like if you don't have to like it to at least not be obstructive with it.
And I've known a lot, and to be fair, I know a lot of friends and whatnot who just aren't into it. But in the very next breath, they say exactly what you say.
Yeah.
I like what it is. I don't get it, but I like what it's doing. It's getting people outside. I've lost weight just walking. Literally, and I thought about it. I thought, well, yeah, I'm getting up before work. I'm walking outside. On my lunch break, I'm walking outside. After work, I'm walking outside. On the weekends, I'm now spending my time in a park walking. I'm exhausted at night. I'm getting such a good night's sleep because of it. It's like it's tricked me into exercising, not just once a day, but literally all day. And if I wouldn't be doing that, I'd be sitting around or just, goofing off. So, it's real. Like it's crazy how it's worked, but
Yeah.
it really has.
But I
It's
mean,
been
this isn't this what everything like? How many people have been like the generation before us has been yelling at us and our kids about video games
get
and
off
all
the
of, yeah,
couch.
exactly.
Yeah.
Get off the couch, get out of the house, go meet people. Well, here we are, and it amazes me. Like some of those same people are like, no, not that way. Like I'm just like, you
Oh yeah,
can't.
and
You
be
just
nice to people too. That's the thing. I've met some. You can tell they're extremely socially awkward when you meet them, and I've just been super nice to them because in the back of my mind, I'm like, some of these people I've met probably don't go out that much, and because they're just like me though. They love video games, they love Pokemon,
yeah.
and be nice to them. Like be super encouraging to that. And that's all I've been, man. Because I'm super weird. Like when I meet people, I don't talk. I'm very shy. I'm very quiet as well. I'm not as I am on this show, but yeah, it's just been really cool meeting people like that, like at the park and stuff like that. And you just have that icebreaker where you're like, we're here for the same thing. We all know it. Let's talk. Let's have fun. Let's get along. And I can't think of anything before that where you could just break ice like that so easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't know what someone else is doing. A month ago, you couldn't just walk up to a park and go, you could say hi, but you don't have some common ground immediately.
Right.
And now you do, and in such a weird, strange way. But yeah, man, I've absolutely loved it. And
I've
I
seen I've seen so much traffic. Like when I deliver pizzas, one of the first roads down from the store that we cut through to one of the main roads goes through a cemetery.
mhm,
Cemetery right next to a park with tennis courts and a playground and a whole bit. Hey, small town, what do you know? But like,
yeah.
you would always see like a few people around the park. I've been in traffic jams over the last week. I'm like, this is a 2-lane road that runs for a tenth of a mile, and I'm in traffic.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and you've seen the videos online of people like stampeding to a location. I witnessed that live at Crane's Roost, where everyone was sitting. Must
Really?
have been over 100 people, and suddenly a ponita showed up on the hill, and someone screamed. Now, to give you a picture, there's this park area where you have a fountain and a bunch of statue things, and then there is like a road on each side of it, and on the other side of one of those roads is a big hill and a apartment complex. Someone on the hill goes, "Bonita," and everyone rushes to the hill. Do not run in traffic, people. But thankfully, there was no traffic, and everyone, a mass exodus from that one location everyone was sitting to where the Ponita was on the hill. And you see these 100 people or so get up on top of the hill where there's really not that much lighting, and all the people in the apartment complex start turning on their lights because they see what's happening, and everyone's cheering and high-fiving because they got a ponita. And I was like, it was my first time seeing it, and I was like, you must be rare. Everyone's gotten excited.
Right?
And it was just, I was looking around and just astonished that it was 10:30 at night and all of these people were here to catch Pokemon.
There you go, man. Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
That's it, man. And groups, if we're gonna, don't
Oh,
run in traffic and go in groups, not just for safety, but because it's way more fun that way.
yo, yeah, absolutely, definitely. If you're gonna, no, we were out at 10:30 at night. It was, it's a big park and has a lot of people and it's very lit up. It has security and police officers, all of that stuff. Don't go to your local, you know, your local park that late at night, and just be careful. Be wise about it. Do that kind of stuff during the day. This this was a big park. Oh man, it was just fun. And yeah, and unfortunately some people have been doing some dumb things, and that's all the news latches onto.
Oh, sure. They forget that people do dumb things with other dumb things. Like
Right.
there's every newscast is like here's three people who were driving while playing Pokemon and they crashed their cars. I'm like, yeah, and how many people still drive drunk? Like, let's,
Right.
you know.
Exactly. Yeah, I saw today someone was, I guess it was captured live on a cop's
Oh, in
camera.
Baltimore, I just saw that.
Yeah, someone sideswiping it, and they got out and admitted to it. It's like that guy would have been Snapchatting 2 weeks ago and
Oh,
got
right.
done the same thing.
And
Like,
he would have been vining before that. He'd have been texting before that. Like there was no this is just the next distraction in that sense. But it
right.
was always going to happen. It just happened to happen while this is what caused it.
Exactly. Be smart, people. Have fun. You know, be smart enough to know that it's an app. You want to live your life. Don't get in trouble. Don't get, don't get in car accidents or anything like that. And odds are you're not going to, because these are just a few people who make bad decisions. So
Right, this is not the overwhelming majority of people.
exactly, if it's getting you out and it's getting you to walk around and it's getting you to exercise, don't let someone, you know, tear that down from you. Take that away from you. So just keep doing it. We Wow, we've talked about Pokemon this whole thing. So
Right.
we'll get back. We'll get into some movie news, then some TV, of course, some video games, and some reviews, some WWE draft and Stranger Things. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we will see you guys all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM. And we got a lot of news to talk about. Before we get into movies, we're going to talk about Star Wars Celebration that happened over the weekend. And we got some cool news from it. Some stuff I've been waiting on forever to hear. And yeah, let's just take it off. We got a new trailer for Rogue One. It was kind of like a behind the scenes featurette that showed new footage. Showcasing like a grittier feel to it. What did you think of it?
Yeah, you definitely got a better sense of the tone of like, oh yeah, no, they're serious about like, oh yeah, this is a war movie. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. These people who do these trailers really know how to get to me, because when you see that love and the it's like they focus more on these kind of trailers on the people making it and how much they love the series, and like the excitement that X-wing fighter gets when he sits down in the seat.
Yes, so man, it's
Yeah,
awesome.
and the practical effects everywhere. Just amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
And I loved when they talked to was it I think it was the director, right? Wasn't it Gareth, who they were talking to about, you can love the franchise and everything, but if you're just going to do the same thing and not be afraid to go out there, then you're not making something worthy of this kind of franchise.
Right.
And I thought
Exactly.
that hits the nail on the head,
Hmm.
because it is a fine line to walk between having respect for what came before, but being willing to go out there and to find something different without going too far and without playing it too safe.
Hmm.
That's and you could make the argument that that's the purpose, that ought to be the purpose of all film, but that will that for another time. Just in this
Right.
case, it's like you have this lineage that you have to find a way to respect, while also saying, okay, but what can we do different? How far can we go before we've got to really get reeled back?
Hmm.
And it,
Yeah,
it
man. No, I agree.
yeah, and it totally looks like they've done a bang on job.
Yeah, it just looks so different. And at the same time, it feels like your home in a way with the originals. It has the look and the grit of the originals, but at the same time, the tone feels very different.
Yeah,
Uh,
it looks, you can definitely see the best way that I can explain this to myself is that it just feels like a different piece of the same Star Wars puzzle.
right.
It's not, we've got all these different parts and all these things that kind of have sort of like this almost fantasy element to it, this kind of journey of the hero and whatnot.
Hmm.
But it always had kind of a flair with, just the idea of a Jedi Knight, like the
Right.
Sith Lord. It always had kind of a fantasy sort of feel that way. This
Hmm.
is just a different piece of that same puzzle. It doesn't have the fantasy elements. It's just a little more grounded, even
Right.
when they're flying in space. But point being,
Yeah. Exactly.
but so I think I seeing that, and especially like the behind the scenes stuff, like you said, with the practical effects, and I love that they keep showing, look, we do this stuff. Like, this is not a CG fest. Like, of course, there's CG elements. There are always going to be CG elements, but the primary focus is on what can we do
Hmm.
and what can we build. I don't know. Did you see the thing they talked about, the 360 set that they built?
I did.
Yeah, like that fascinated me.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. Like I can't wait. Um, did you? I guess in the trailer, did you notice? Now, I don't know if this is going to be a spoiler if I said it, but some very people who basically broke the trailer down scene by scene by scene caught a few Easter eggs, some characters that are from the original movies that might be in these movies. Did you see who those were?
No, but I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it's too spoilery, because
Too spoilery? Okay.
because is it people that we already kind of thought were gonna pop up in this film in some aspect?
No, these are just actually. I don't even know if I should say it because it sounds like really fun surprises.
Well, then let's leave it out then.
Let's leave it. Okay, yeah. So I'll leave that there. It just looks like. Just keep in mind who is alive during this time frame, who we saw during this time frame, and I'm not really talking about big characters either. I'm not like saying Yoda or anything like that. But keep in mind, Yoda's fucking alive during this time frame. Boba Fett is alive during this time frame. All of these characters are there. Who knows who's going to show up? The ones I'm talking about are very small characters, but they're cool nonetheless. And the EU universe has definitely talked about them a little bit, so it's cool. I mean, oh, dude, like, imagine like who could pop up in this film randomly, like one of the bounty hunters or something like that. Not even Boba Fett, like could be one of the other ones. That would just be like a kind of like a cool, oh shit, I know that guy, you know. Um, I don't know. It just it's really cool.
Hey,
Um,
look, it's old man Jar Jar Binks.
yep, yep. Yeah, exactly. Or Bail Organa, like he could be in it, you know.
Yeah, sure.
And a few other people. Like it's gonna be. I think there's gonna be some cool cameos. Just from the trailer alone, like that big shiny robot that they show. He's in like he's on the Death Star in the original movie.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yep, yep. because I was like, that guy looks so familiar, and then I watched something on YouTube where it like breaks down the trailer, and it's like, oh, by the way, remember this guy looks familiar? You've seen him before. He was on the Death Star before it blew up.
See, that's the kind of cool little stuff that I like. Not every piece of fan service has to be huge.
Right, and what I'm hinting at that I haven't said, it's like that. It's like, oh, like as soon as you see these people or you see that creature, you see this, you're gonna be like, oh wow, okay, I know who that is. Don't know their name because I didn't know their name when I saw them,
Right.
but I was like, I know exactly who they are, and that's a cool little that would make me smile from ear to ear seeing, um, and I'm sure that's all over this movie, like in I love that Jedi's are rare in this. Like the Sith and all of that. We they know of Darth Vader, they know, but he's really going to be, I think, the only person in this film that is like we see that's force sensitive.
Right. Well, I
Maybe,
mean, this is still, not far removed from the whatever they called it, the Great Jedi Purge or whatever, cleansing,
right.
whatever they called it.
Right, exactly. And I like that. I dig that. Like, how many years have people been talking about like they want a Star Wars movie that doesn't have much to do with Jedi? And even though I love Jedi and they're kind of my favorite part about the Star Wars lore and everything, uh, it's still a cool. I still love the idea. Like, every once in a while you get that urge to read a book or something where it's just nothing to do with the main part of that, but like an offset story about something else. And that's what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what people have been clamoring for years. We're finally getting an extended universe book. That's the way you got to think of it, put to life.
Yeah, pretty much. That was one of the things that was really great about Lost Stars
Hmm.
was because these were not Lost Jedi kids or something. They were just
Yep.
kids.
Yeah, and a few years back before Disney bought Star Wars, there wasn't a shot in hell that we were going to get a live action Star Wars movie that had nothing to do with the Skywalker family. We didn't even think we'd ever get a continuation of Star Wars. And
Right.
here we are. We're getting a continuation and we're getting extended universe type stuff. That's the way I see it. I see like this is their chance of doing extended universe movies and that's what we're getting. Um, the next one's Han Solo, which is really close to the originals. But who knows after that? Like,
Yeah, because what the Han film is only supposed to be what, like a handful of years before A New Hope, right?
exactly.
It's not
Yeah,
it's not too far removed.
it's not. No, no. And it's kind of cool how that Han Solo story is going to be shared kind of like in this time frame, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Apparently, yeah. So, dude, I'm totally in. Let's see here. Star Wars Episode 8. The film will pick up right after the end of 7.
Yeah, there's not going to be like every other Star Wars film. There's been some measure of distance,
Right.
but this is just going to be and scene like right where.
Do you think it's not gonna? I mean, I imagine it has to do the scroll, and then you're in space. What does it do? Like zoom down to the planet?
I think it zooms down to the end. I almost kind of think it in a sense reverses the zoom we got at the end of 7, just in the sense of like, we see the planet and then, you know I don't know if it's going to zoom the whole way down out from space or if there'll be a wipe cut in between, but
Mhm.
it's going to wind up zooming back in on the exact scene we saw at the end of 7.
See, I think it picks up at that exact same time frame, but I honestly think the film opens up with Kylo Ren and the aftermath of that, um, in space, and then suddenly we go to the planet with Luke. Um,
I like I could see that, but I think the more interesting part right out of the gate is to at least establish something between Luke and Rey. And
well, that's
then
true. So
they
you're
have
saying like open up with her grabbing the lightsaber,
or with him
or and
actually,
that,
yeah.
that's what I meant. Yeah, with him, receiving it. Okay, no, I could totally see
It's
that. Like that, that would be cool.
Yeah, like I think that he's going to have the opening line of the film. And
Oh, that
then
would be interesting.
yeah, and I don't know what it's going to I don't know what it's going to be. Mark Hamill's really high on the dialogue. Did you see
Yeah.
that where he talked about how it was all he said they've written so many things that are going to be catchphrases that'll make you forget all about "May the Force be with you."
Oh no, I gotta watch that. See, I didn't get to see any of the panels really. I only caught the
Yeah,
headlines.
and I mean that's a bold statement.
It really is. Well, I mean, Star Wars is known for that. I mean, how many years have we been quoting Yoda
Yeah,
and,
true.
and Obi-Wan Kenobi? We've taken these phrases and we've said them for years. Our parents have said them for years. Like it's crazy how deep Star Wars goes. Like my buddy who just got into it, literally in the last year, and any chance he gets, he quotes Yoda because he's like, "That's some of the smartest shit I've ever heard." Like that's what he always says. He's like, "That's some of the realest, deepest stuff that he's heard." And I'm like, it makes sense because like it resonates. Uh, do or do not. There is no try. Like that's really, it's so simple.
Right. I would just
Stuff like that.
I would just love for it to zoom in like that first line is there's Luke staring down at the lightsaber and he just looks up and he just goes, "There was a hand with that."
Right. Yeah. He goes into his little bit. No,
Like
I'm curious how Luke's going to take this. I'm curious how his voice is going to sound, and that's honestly, you know what? I never thought about that. Like Mark Hamill's huge into voice acting. I wonder how he's going to take on this role because we've seen him, but we haven't heard from him. We saw all the emotion in the face, and he showed a lot of it.
yeah.
He showed everything, and I'm curious how he's going to act and what Luke's going to be like now. Especially to her. And is he going to be rough? Is he going to be gentle? Like who knows?
Well,
Like
especially considering, what kind of state is he in after what prompted him to go into this exile to begin with.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and,
yeah.
you
There's
know,
so many
he
questions.
he winds up betrayed and all of this and seeing everything that we kind of got a glimpse of. So
Hmm.
he's got to be pushing that out of his mind, and suddenly here shows up somebody holding his lightsaber, which was his father's old lightsaber.
Hmm.
Like how, where all does that go?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's interesting for everything, you know, style and acting and everything like that aside. The actual character of
Hmm.
Anakin has had such a massive continuous impact
Hmm.
on this story in some way, shape, or form. And that to me is fascinating. And that's the thread that I like seeing the way they keep weaving it through. It's not always present, but it's not always obviously present, but it's always there in those subtle kind of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. No, here, man. I completely agree. Um. Yeah, dude. I couldn't be more excited for this. Um. Yeah.
Uh,
We got. Let's see. What else do we got? Do you want to take a quick break or?
Well, we've got. Did you see Goyer's writing a thing for ILM?
No. What is it?
They're doing some kind of Darth Vader VR thing. We don't know if it's
Oh, it's gonna be like an experience or something.
yeah, we don't know if it's a movie or it's a game. It's probably like a VR experience.
It's gonna
And
be like that Batman thing, probably.
well, I don't even think it's gonna be like that. I think it's gonna be more like the when they were like the Star Wars Battlefront experience,
Well,
whatever
see,
that
that's
was.
bigger. They just released a Star Wars thing on Vive that's probably 4 minutes long, and it's what they've been demoing, where like the Millennium Falcon lands, you fix the ship, stormtroopers come up, R2 hands you a lightsaber, you block the laser bullets,
Yeah.
uh, and if the blast, it all looks amazing, but it's literally 4 minutes.
Right. I think this is kind of that same sort of thing, but
Right.
it's written by David Goyer, so it's going to be awful anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So it's gonna be about Darth Vader. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I'm all in. I'm gonna have the PlayStation VR. You bet your sweet ass I'm going to be getting whatever the hell they come out with Star Wars wise for VR. I just want a thing where I can just hang around with the lightsaber and shoot stuff, block things.
Right.
I'll pay for that happily. Yeah, but all right, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll get back. We'll talk more about Star Wars Celebration, then we'll get into some movie news. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we'll see everybody in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and yeah, we're right in the middle of like Star Wars Celebration news.
Yeah, tell these people what you said right before we came back on.
Oh, there's a Bulbasaur right near me. God. He goes away fast, though. One
Ah.
thing that's broken about the game right now, if you've not noticed, is that everything is at least 3 paw prints away. So that sucks.
Oh, is it everything?
Everything for everyone right now,
Oh,
they're
bummer.
the Pokemon is at least 3 paw prints away. So the only so kind of does that really sucks. Like the fundamental thing of the game is broken. And so the only way you can guess what's close and what's not is top left hand corner to the right and then down like a zigzag all the way to the end.
Yeah. Ah.
Like a Z pretty much. But last week you could see the thing closest to you had 2 paw prints or 1 paw print or no paw print. That let you know how close you were getting to it. Now it's all 3 paw prints. So I imagine this is something they will fix very soon. They will have to.
Oh
um,
yeah, big time.
yeah, I imagine it comes tomorrow when they release it with Japan and whatnot, hopefully. Um, but yeah. All right, let's see here. We got some more news. Go ahead and take the next one.
Sorry, hang on. I was actually just finishing up catching a Rattata. Well, I had to catch an Eevee before that. Give me a break.
Jeez.
You said there was a Bulbasaur nearby. I was like, oh damn, I haven't checked in a while. Um, so yeah, they did a fun thing with Star Wars Rebels. They showed a trailer for season 3, and there's a bit of a time jump. Which, hey, what do you know? We were just talking about that. Ezra's got a new haircut and everything, and it's like, okay, so what are we up to now? And they showed Hondo, and it was a neat little trailer. It's like, oh, okay, so we're back, and the rebellion's starting to gather some steam. Oh, and now the Imperials are getting smart. Well, why is that? Well, because of this shadowy figure who we're slowly zooming in on. And I loved the video I found on YouTube was taken from the hall. So you could slowly hear the crowd start to build when they were figuring out. Like,
Mhm.
in the beginning, it was like the absolute diehards who were like, oh my god, is this who I think it is?
Right, right.
And then, like, the next cut, they got a little more excited. And
Mhm.
then when he spoke and was very refined and very intelligent, and again, this same kind of crowd, maybe even a broader crowd now, who was like, wait, do I know this character? And then when they showed him, most of the crowd lost their minds.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple bits of dialogue which I haven't heard because I haven't seen one that hasn't had the crowd in it yet. And then it cuts to them saying Grand Admiral Thrawn, and then
Yeah.
the entire crowd lost their minds,
Oh yeah, yeah,
which was
absolutely.
awesome. I lost my mind when I saw that. I was like, that's fantastic.
Yep, he's officially canon now.
They've
Yeah,
they've described him. I think it was one of the showrunners described him as a Vader level threat,
right.
and that's of course like how like he has to be a big bad. He's got to be on that top tier,
Yeah.
and that's just awesome. Which then led to the announcement of an an in canon Thrawn book coming out next year, written by Timothy Zahn,
Yeah.
who wrote the original Thrawn trilogy.
People lost their
Oh,
minds.
that's such awesome news because
Yeah.
this like now this is gonna answer so many questions and it's gonna set up like a trillion more.
Yep.
But that's awesome because this is even for somebody like me who was not big expanded universe.
Hmm.
I was not like I knew my expanded universe basically boiled down to two characters, Revan and Thrawn.
Right.
That was pretty much it. I knew a little about the Yuzong Vong, but not. I think I read one of those.
Right.
But like that, because I loved Revan not just for his journey, but for the personality and what he kind of stood for in the face of shaking up the status quo with the Jedi, and Thrawn because he is the absolute. You don't want this guy across the chessboard from you.
Right.
He will sit down and he will look at the board and he will see where your hand twitches
Hmm.
right before you play, and he will know every single move you're going to make.
Oh
Like
yeah, I
that's
loved the paintings and the artwork all around him. And
yeah,
the second I saw that, I knew you two. You just knew who it was. You're like, yes, could not have been better news at
Yeah.
Celebration. I was curious what they were going to do, what they were going to show at this one. And Thrawn, he just stole the show, his book, and he's going to be in season 3, and he's going to be a big part of it. And it's smart. Like if you're going to keep some things from the canon, that is top of the list from the EU.
Yeah, oh yeah, he has to be included.
Gonna be curious now going forward. Mara Jade, is she alive? Is she not? What happened with Luke? Did Luke ever have a wife? That's gonna be, we don't know yet.
Right, because that's the thing. This is the first major
Yeah,
EU inclusion, and that just blows the doors off of everything. Now anything could be fair game.
yeah. It made people go. All the people who thought that Mara Jade couldn't do a Thrawn, they'd never do it. Now they're going, wait a second, what are they keeping? And it's making a lot more sense why they're keeping a lot of things still behind closed doors and still hasn't released them yet, because they don't want to spoil the upcoming movies.
Right.
And everything doing it, like, oh man, like this opens it up so much. I couldn't be more excited. And it was kind of a turn in the book too. Like, remember in the last Aftermath book, we thought it was Thrawn.
It seemed like this could be that character.
Right. It was the what do you call it? Bait and switch. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but we're not. I don't know if we're still sure about that though.
Yeah. They don't mention his race or anything.
Like
so.
there's always still the theory out there that he winds up being Supreme Leader Snoke.
Yeah, yes.
And
I did read that.
And that's still entirely plausible.
It is. It makes it really interesting if he's going to be like the bad guy of this series. But yeah, man, this Thrawn stuff is good news. Did they have the new Han Solo come out on stage?
Yeah, they did introduce him. I gotta look up his name here. Aaron, hang on, I'll find it.
It's Aiden
Ehrenreich.
Ehrenreich, yeah.
He was. I don't know. He was fun in Hail Caesar. I liked him.
Yeah. Yeah, oh man, I can't wait. All this is good news. The Thrawn stuff got me really excited, and yeah, I mean, hopefully that comes out early 2017. I imagine. But yeah, all right. What movie news do we got?
Well, we've got a lot of like concept art and promotion videos or photos this week ahead of Comic-Con. We got some concept art for Guardians 2 they officially unveiled that did show Mantis. They were like, "Yep, she's in the movie." We were like,
"Yep,
okay, we figured." not the biggest secret on the planet, but
didn't they already announce that Mantis was in it?
I don't know if it was ever like an official anything, or it was one of those things where it was like where it was just James Gunn being funny.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was, it was like, hey, we would love to tell you about this new cast member. You guys are going to be really green with envy when you find out who it is, or something stupid like that, probably.
Gotcha.
Just because they love playing like that, and you're just like, oh, come out and say it already. It's like, well, we can't tell you, but don't bite our heads off. And we're like, oh my god, enough already.
Right. Oh yeah. Did you also see who was in the concept art? Like maybe Nebula is going to join their team?
Yeah, because they did say that she was definitely going to have a more substantive role in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I don't know exactly what role she's going to fill, because just the jump from, oh, Thanos used me, I feel bad, I must go after him, that's too simple. Like,
well, no, I mean, she's obviously, I think there's a bond there with her sister that they're going to have to meld. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a cool relationship. Like, that's that's probably going to be a funny part of the team, of them two maybe going at it, or I don't know, them making, Rocket or someone making jokes about it. Yondu looks like he's a part of their team as well.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, he's probably going to be the shifty guy that he's always trying to screw him over. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I see this being really funny. Like,
it's definitely going to be fun for sure.
Chris Pratt trying to keep all these people from killing each other and stealing from each other is going to be great.
And seeing, who would make a good duo in this film is Drax and Nebula.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
actually.
because they're both like, you could see these are the kind, this is the pair that's like, how do they show each other that they actually kind of start to like each other? Well, they get in a brawl that levels half of a town.
Yeah,
You
no,
know, like
exactly.
that's exactly. And then at the end of it, like neither one of them wants to yield, but neither one of them can stand up anymore.
All
And
right.
so here comes Rocket just wandering through, looking at both of them being drunk off his tail or something. Like, just you can absolutely get away with something like that.
Oh yeah. And Kurt Russell has to be his dad, right?
I would think so.
I'm thinking.
I don't know exactly what character he's going to be, since they've flat out said like it's not going to be the guy from the comics.
Right, right. Yeah. Oh yeah. His dad from the comics is not going
Yeah.
to play a part in this, so um yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Maybe Adam Warlock, who knows? That's what people are thinking. But we'll see, we'll
Well,
see.
I mean I, that could be because they do have her in the film, so that
Hmm.
I don't know. That's
It
another
would make
poss.
sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. Well, because we only got a few seconds here before we got to take a break, so we're gonna take a break. We'll get back. We'll get into some more movies, television, video games. We'll get into the draft. We'll get into all of that. Stranger Things, Star Wars, Life Debt. We'll see you guys all in a minute. Thank you for listening to We Geek podcast on the N.FM. See you guys in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek podcast on the N.FM. We got a lot more news to talk about. Um, we got some Wonder Woman news.
Yeah, on the same train of press photos and whatnot, we got some new promotional stills from some production photos. They showed that her armor actually has color on it. Like,
Oh wow.
like it's not just the sort of like dull shade of eh that we got from the Batman vs Superman promo art. It's
Hmm.
like, oh, there's actually like a difference. Like, there is red and there is blue, and it's not like, oh, well, that's kind of a faded blue. It's like, no, that actually looks like blue. Which is an amazing and sad commentary to have to make on this stuff.
It really is. Like it shouldn't be that hard.
Did you see Honest Trailers finally did Batman v Superman?
No, I didn't. Was it good?
It's 9 minutes, which is hysterical and exactly the point. And it's absolutely like it reminded me of every reason why I hate that movie, and it made me hate it even more.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I watched the extended super duper deluxe rated R edition. And it was just it's like, oh, so they gave Jimmy a name. Okay, that makes it even worse. And like it's just the whole time I felt like that.
Yeah, it's it's sad because you go back and you think, is there any more hyped storyline? Like, if somebody was to say, what's a comic they should turn into a movie, or a comic story they should turn into a movie, how many people would have said something along the lines of the Dark Knight Returns, or like just for the Batman v Superman fight at the end of it.
Right.
Like, I don't, and the way that the fight was good. Like, the last chunk of that film where everything actually happens is not terrible. Um, a
Oh,
few
no,
noteworthy exceptions, but but
yeah, I can name a few.
yeah, we can
Doomsday.
we can all, they all have the same names, but
Right.
there's like, I
Yeah.
just, oh, it's such it's such crappy writing.
Yeah, it really
It's
is.
it's awful. It's just bad. I would love to actually read a draft of the script to see if it really reads as bad as it came out,
Yeah.
because it came out awful. I mean, it
It
really
really
did.
did. I mean, some of the extended version stuff did flesh out a little bit of like why Clark was going here and why Bruce was going there, but that's it. That's all. It's all it did. Um, it didn't. I don't know how it made it rated R either. Like there was nothing that I saw different.
I
Maybe
I,
Batman killed more people.
I
Maybe it showed him literally snap necks. I mean, maybe no. Honestly, maybe there was a scene or two in there where like Batman stabbed somebody that I just didn't catch in the first one. But that's the only thing I could think of. Yeah, it was bad all the way around. Who knows?
yeah,
Hopefully Wonder Woman's good. Suicide Squad comes out soon, right? Like 2 weeks.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we got Star Trek this week, I think.
And reviews for that have been good.
Oh, good, good, good.
Yeah, reviews for that have actually been really good. I was surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Did you see that they were not going to
Yeah,
oh,
they're not recasting for yeah, for Chekhov. I had seen
right,
that.
trying to think of his last name. I can't.
Yelchin, Anton Yelchin.
Nelson, that's it. Yes. I have such a problem saying it too. Yeah. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting and smart. You don't want to do that. I'm wondering how they're gonna handle that because I unfortunately know the whole time I'm watching the film that's what I'm gonna think of when I see him.
Yeah, it's the last Fast and Furious all over again in a
It
sense.
really is, and it kind of it sucks. It kind of takes away from it. I just feel bad for his family. He was so young. Like,
And by all accounts just ridiculously talented. Like we had only just started to see what he could do.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And that's a bummer. I don't think aside from I don't think anything in the actual movie is going to address the character.
Mhm,
I think before the credits there'll be an in memory of
mhm.
for sure. But I don't think they're gonna do anything for the character at least until the next one.
Right. Did we talk last week um about the Sulu character and what's been in the news?
I don't know if we mentioned that. Just I don't know if it was news at that point or not. We might have.
Okay. Well, George Takei. Well, here, let me pull up the story.
Yeah,
Um,
he wasn't. Yeah, because they came out and they said, oh, by the way, Sulu is gay,
mhm.
and George Takei thought that that went against. He didn't think the original Sulu that he played was gay. He thought that this was just kind of. He thought this was kind of a cop out. It seemed like they were like, oh
Right.
well, they needed a gay character, so instead of creating a new one, they just put the identity here.
Mhm.
And everybody else has kind of come out and said, well, look, two things. One, why, you know, as long as it's not something that seems shoehorned in, why does it matter? And the second thing being, this isn't the original. It's the crew has the same names, but they're not the same people just because of how they've ruptured the timeline. From a canon standpoint, it's all different.
And see, this is just so odd because I see both point of views very well. You
Yeah,
know.
I understand. I understand where George is coming from. I do.
Right.
I
Yeah.
see.
Totally. Because it's like, you know, it is kind of odd they made his character gay because he's gay, and that's where a lot of people are like, that is kind of odd. That normally wouldn't happen in any other situation. Um, and at the same time, he's like, I don't want that to be shoehorned as a gay character just because I am. And I totally get what he's saying. He's like, that's not who I played. That's not what I portrayed. You know, at that point, might as well make it a black woman or something different. That's how he's thinking of it. Like, don't do that.
Right.
Just make it write him how he was. But at the same time, it totally makes sense where Simon Pegg and the people who made the movie would make him gay. It is 2016.
Well,
It is odd that
and
there's no
just
openly gay characters in Star Trek that
exactly.
so it makes perfect sense. I'm totally okay with it. But at the same time, I do see George. I mean, that's his baby. Like, that's someone he played for years. That's and it's just so odd because Gene Roddenberry at the same time, like, he was breaking boundaries with what he did with Star Trek. Like, he was pushing limits everywhere.
Right. I mean, we got the Kirk Uhura kiss is still TV
Exactly.
legend,
And
but
tell me a bigger Asian star before him that everyone knew before Sulu. Like he was one of the first that I know of that was just everywhere, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And so at the same time, like Gene totally was pushing the boundaries and being very progressive, in a time where it was not. Well, I guess it was in a lot of other places, because it was the '60s and whatnot. But in film and whatnot, he was doing that. So it's odd. I totally respect both sides for their opinion. It's kind of a because I totally get what he's saying. Like suddenly, like I said, they made Harry Potter just completely different character. It would be offsetting for a lot of people that viewed him a different way, saw him a different way. And I guess George is saying I never viewed him as gay. And it totally makes sense for them to go. This is a new universe. They went back and bam, we have something completely different.
Right.
So it's just really it's yeah, it's odd to see them fighting about this, and they're not fighting, I guess, but it's odd to see them like, you know,
Well, and it makes it a lot harder when they both have great points.
yeah, exactly.
And I think that's what we need more of. We
Hmm.
need when we're having discussions like this about a portrayal of anything other than normal white person in film or comics or anything. We need to stop having a discussion on who's right and who's wrong and why these kind of things make a difference and how they should be handled properly.
Yeah, because I mean, I think I've taken George's side a lot when he basically comes out and says, "Why don't you make a new character that is gay and whatnot?" And then the other side of it, Simon Pegg's like, "We don't want to make a Tolkien gay guy and that be his whole character because that's what people would attach him to immediately if that's what we do." And in a way, I hope in the movie it's just not even like it's not a thing. Like it's just maybe his boyfriend shows up or something like that, but it's not mentioned. It's not like some joke or. I just hope it's not a thing. You
It's
know what I mean?
the way that I've heard it said is that it's almost kind of like what they did with Spock and Uhura of just like, oh hey, by the way, this is a thing.
Right,
Like not
right,
a big deal of just like, oh hey, by the way, he's not only are they different colors, but he's also half alien. How kooky is that? They were just like,
right,
no, hey, this is the thing. Like
right,
not a big deal. It just exists. You know, absorb this knowledge and let's get on with the film. Like
right.
kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the way it should be. But here it is, 2016, and that's still such a strange concept.
Hmm.
And
Oh
it
yeah, no, and I mean, I get where a lot of people are like, because George Takei is gay, let's make his character gay. That is really odd. But I don't know. It's just, it's because I mean, what other? I can't think of anything else like this to compare it to. That's the thing.
Michael, this is it's kind of fantastic forecasting all over again.
Oh wow.
In a sense. It just in the idea of we still get the same thing of like, oh well, they just decided to change his character for no reason other than to not have everybody be the same. And I, on the one hand, that was that was one of the things that I will go to bat for the last Fantastic Four film for was that this the the least troubling thing about that film was having a black Johnny Storm.
Oh yeah,
Like
absolutely.
that was because it was just like, oh hey, and here it is. Like
Right.
the way that this kind of thing gets dragged out in the press is always, almost always, so totally overblown when you actually see how it's handled in the films.
Right.
Because it's done in the film in a way that you just go, oh okay, and you accept it and you move on and it's not a big deal.
Hmm.
And that's maybe the only not awful thing that I can say about that movie.
Hmm.
But like I think, and I do agree from the other side that you have to have you should introduce more characters to have more diversity to reflect the way the world is now. But when you're dealing with things from 40, 50, 60 years ago in some cases, I have no problem with saying, all right, this is a new version of that. Things are different now. How would they be created if they were created now instead of back then?
Right. And
And
did you see John Cho like came out saying like I don't know if this was a good idea.
that's a fair, that's a
His
all of
his
these are fair
argument was he
points.
was afraid that George Takei would be a little offended that he was a gay man playing a straight character, and at the time he was in the closet. And now that, so far into his life, they've decided to now just suddenly change the straight character he was portraying and acting as into a gay character strictly because he's gay.
Yeah.
So that's where he was like, I don't know about this. I guess. Yeah, that's odd. It's really, it's hard to.
Right, but let's to look at this from a narrative perspective, from a character point of view. We haven't seen this version of Sulu. We know nothing about his personal life. So
Right.
in terms of this character, it's not, in terms of pop culture, maybe it's redefining him, but in terms of this character in these films, we don't know that side of his life at all.
No,
So
I get it, but I also don't think that because of the death of, you know, uh, Kirk's father, it suddenly changes a character's sexual orientation either.
and that's a fair point. That's a
Yeah,
fair and
then
that
it gets into the weird territory of
right.
I don't know if that would have
Then yeah, because then things get a little timey wimey, and
yeah.
that's that can be where the argument sort of falls apart. But I look at it this way, in that this is it really is the you can look at the physics of this in so many ways it'll make your head hurt, and people who understand physics far more than I tend to do that because they have that much free time for
Right.
some strange reason. But like I look, at the end of the day, if you try to really drill down to, if you really take this down to the physics of it, then I think you kind of lose the argument, because you're putting way too much emphasis on almost the trivial aspects of this, and you start to lose sight of the idea of being inclusive. And
Hmm.
I and with I so I don't, I disregard that part of the argument. The idea of, well, in the film, these effects of time travel don't have everything to do. I don't care. I don't want to hear about that. I will happily listen to what George has to say, because that to me is valid, especially
Right.
given how much he went through, and the trouble and the turmoil of being in the closet, particularly at
Well,
that point in history.
well, in his words, he's troubled that it's suggested that sexuality is something that could be retrofitted, and he doesn't think that that's something that should be changed.
And that's a fair point.
Right. It's sudden. I don't know. It's making a new Star Wars and making Leia gay or something. Like it's going to be like, wait a second,
It's
you're completely changing the person. You know. So I get what he's saying. Like it's weird, but at the same time, you want more progressive stuff in movies. You want more openly gay characters. You want all of that. It's kind of a weird. It's like you have your cake and eat it too. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah. No,
at
it's
one argument you're saying I want all of this, and the next you're going, well, don't change what I like,
right.
or what I know. So it's
Well,
it's
the better way to frame this argument is to say, don't just throw it away. And
right.
that's the way that it's interesting to see that Simon and George are both coming at the same argument from different places.
Hmm.
George is saying you can't just take something like this and retcon it.
Hmm.
And Simon's coming at it saying, well, you can't take something like this and just throw it away.
Right.
And it's really, that's what I like about the debate this way, and saying here's why this is important. And that's what both sides are trying to say. And that's what's interesting. They both want to say the same thing, that this is the kind of thing that is important, and we recognize how, in one sense, delicately it has to be handled, while being presented in a way that doesn't make it seem like it has to be handled delicately.
Hmm.
That's the kind of thing that drives writers crazy, and the kinds of writers who can do that on just the right note. That's what separates the really brilliant writers from just kind of your stock and trade writers. The people
Yeah.
who can look at something like this and instead of just saying, "Well, we did this, and so get over it," and the people or the other side of the people that are saying, "Well, how do we do this not just so that it makes sense, but so that it works?" And that's a fine line to thread with any kind of of sensitive concept
Hmm.
of any kind, whether it's something like this, or it's racial, or it's political, or it's anything. If there's any kind of sensitive subject, you have to be able to thread this through in a very delicate but respectful but sturdy. Like, you can see where you see why writers are crazy people. Like,
Right.
because this is the kind of line that has to be walked, and this is the way to have this debate. Instead of
Hmm.
just saying, "Nope, it's awful, don't do it," say, "Here's why I don't like this," and then from the other side say, "Well, here was an alternative, and we didn't want to do that." So
Right.
it's interesting, and it really frames this in a very interesting way, and I would like to see how this is addressed in other films with brand new franchises and IPs and things. It's very simple to do because you're starting from scratch.
Right. I think Star Wars is going to be kind of the prime example of this, where they're going to be introducing new characters, and some of them are going to be gay. I mean, that's just almost a foregone
Well,
conclusion. I
they
mean, it'd be
they
interesting. Like, look at what there's always been rumors that Luke is.
yeah,
Now
and
that I imagine that is going to set so many people off.
right.
When they're like, "Well, why did he kiss his sister?" Or no, why did he get so excited for that? I, I can imagine the conversations when that if that happens. Um,
Well,
you
and
know,
they already introduced a character in the first Aftermath book, right?
right in the books, but not. I'm saying in the movie universe,
Right.
the wide audience that is that doesn't read the books. All
True.
they know is going to the movies and whatnot. That's going to be interesting, and it's a shocker these two universes hasn't done this yet.
And
But
I think that was part of the impetus for making this change in the first place.
yeah,
And I agree there were better ways to do it. And I am always in favor of building a new character from the ground up to
yeah,
be interesting, because then, if nothing else, you have another excellent character to add to the roster.
right. I'm always down for that, and also you're not going to get the months and months and months of scrutiny and people being upset. It's like, oh, okay, it's a new character, and just I can't wait till we get to the day where it's just not even a thing, or that's
Exactly.
not a part of their character description at all. It's just something that happens. Like suddenly Poe has a boyfriend or something. Like, who cares? Like, I just want it to be nothing and to be such a like, it's not written, it's not whatever. You just see it and it's just okay, that's great, and move on.
Right. It's like,
Um,
"Oh, that's great. Oh, look at that. They're in love. How cute." And it's
right,
treated like every other kind of love story. Like, it's not.
right.
Yeah, the day when this is not something that causes all of this controversy just because people finally can handle this and accept this. Like, let's get to that point, but we're still struggling to have female leads and directors and studio execs. Like, we've got a
Hmm.
long way to go in this business.
And you know what? Hey, Star Wars is doing a great job with that female lead thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, if they would just make more toys for them, that would be great.
Uh-huh. And
Yeah,
Marvel, we're looking at you too.
yeah, Marvel too. Let's see. Did you see the new Power Rangers photos?
I did. They looked like the Guardians of Atlantis.
Guardians of Atlantis. Okay, so refresh my memory what that is.
Well, just like the armor looked so Atlantean. Like, it looked like straight. It looked like
Oh, you're
Aquaman's
saying from
honor
like
guard.
Marvel.
Yeah, from DC. Like,
Oh,
it they
DC, I'm sorry, yeah.
yeah, they looked like Aquaman's honor guard. Like, they really
Oh, you're right.
did.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking Beetleborgs when I
Yeah,
saw
there is a little bit of similarity to that too, for sure.
it. Just looks like a knockoff. It really does.
Yeah, it's the more I see these, the more I'm not impressed. But they
No.
there was another picture of Elizabeth Banks as in full Rita Repulsa gear, and that doesn't look bad.
No.
But God, yeah, the suits just they look terrible.
They really do. I don't know. Like, why would you, I get it? They can't do the spandex suits from the '90s, but the ones from the movie, like the original movie, looked pretty good.
Yeah, they were
Just
not bad.
work with that. Don't go so fucking. It's almost like they went to like that weird Superman. What was that? Death of Superman Returns or whatever. Like his suit had all that stuff going through it.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of this like weird.
I stand by it that Stark Industries had a thrift sale.
Not
And
even that. At least Stark Industries, there's like solid paneling, one color. This is like this rocky, weird material that's all over the place, right?
yeah.
It's not like solid pieces. At least with Iron Man, it's solid red piece, solid gold piece. It looks like armor. This looks like alien rock things threw up on them in different colors. I don't
It's
know how to
it's
explain it. It just looks odd.
it's there's
It looks like
there's
a racing game that I used to have on the PC, and it was this futuristic racing game, and you got to choose between the different drivers, and there were different color swaps. That's what it looks like.
okay, well that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's what it looked like. These futuristic motorcycle drivers. That's what they look like. Like they look like motorcycle suits. That's just I don't know. It's just
Yeah. It's like the quartz line of biker gear. Like
yeah.
it is. Like it's really I don't know, man.
It needs to be a solid color in my opinion. It needs to be and brighter. It's too dull. Like I couldn't tell. I was like, is that the Black Ranger? Is that the Blue Ranger? It wasn't as bright as it was in the photo they originally showed us.
No, I don't think I could tell the red and pink rangers apart.
Right, exactly. I only could tell because of their faces and whatnot. But other than that, I was just like, it's just really dark.
Yeah.
And that thing in the middle that I don't know, I just don't like it. It's too many colors meshing. It should be one red, 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 a little bit of white, all red. But yeah, you're right. It's like this weird Tony Stark.
Yeah, it's like I don't it's just bad. And I mean, I know those things will sell toys, but like
It just doesn't. It honestly doesn't even look like interesting toys though. Like if I don't know if they were more. I don't know. Whatever the hell's going on in the center of their chest too, like smoky diamond. Like put a dinosaur there or whatever the hell they had.
right. Like go back like there was a reason that those things worked. Like
Yeah.
because they need to remember this is for kids and kids need more than just I say this putting aside for a second how much fun most of us could have with a simple box.
Hmm.
But like you have to have something that ignites a little something in the imagination, and just a bunch of color swapped suits of limestone armor is
Right.
not gonna do it.
Bingo. You nailed it. Limestone armor. That's what it looks like.
Like it's just not like you've got to have some. That's why the dinosaurs work. That's why they picked dinosaurs
Hmm.
because kids love dinosaurs. Period. That was the end of the thought process, and it worked.
Yep. Put that on their chest. Not these weird smoky. I don't even know what the hell they are. All right. um. Did you? Oh man. Did you see that Leslie Jones quit Twitter?
Yeah, well, it was a banner day for Twitter.
Yeah, man. Like it's just. Whew.
It's one thing to hate a movie. It's one thing to hate an actor's portrayal of a character in a movie. It's another thing, and it's sad that this news shocks no one. That like,
Right.
oh hey, somebody of color on Twitter was subject to an enormous amount of racist memes and comments and harassment and death threats. It's sad that even people who want to stand up and say Twitter has to do more about this have been banging this drum for so long, and Twitter has done so little about it.
Right.
That's the main problem, and it's not to throw in the towel and say like, well, this is just the internet. Like that you can't do. You can't just wave the white flag and
Hmm.
just allow this to happen. But the people that take action against it get nowhere. I
Right.
mean, we saw this with Gamergate, where it just it was the same harassment, and there it even escalated to
Hmm.
actual threats and actual violence, and Twitter did next to nothing. So
Right.
I mean, this is incumbent on them to actually do something for a change.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't see most of the comments. I just saw the headline, and cause I don't go on Twitter that much. And um, did you see Ghostbusters?
I haven't yet. I might go tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be seeing it. I heard it was better than what people thought it was gonna be, so that kind of gave me a little bit of hope.
Well,
So
because like it's interesting like the same on my Facebook feed when the reviews started coming out, it was literally Ghostbusters is actually pretty good. Ghostbusters is meh. Ghostbusters is bad. Like just
well,
right in a row.
right. From what I understand, go expecting Bridesmaids. Don't go expecting Ghostbusters, and you'll have a great time.
There you go.
Yep. Which kind of sucks for Ghostbusters fans. But anyway, we will be right back. Again, you're listening to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we'll see you guys all in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek Podcast on the N.FM, and we got some TV news real fast. Gotham, Benedict Samuel from The Walking Dead is cast as Mad Hatter in season 3.
Yay.
Woo! Game of Thrones season 7 release date is pushed to summer 2017 because they want to film when it's gloomy outside.
Yeah, because winter wasn't actually coming as soon as they thought it was.
Exactly, which makes sense. Sucks it's going to be 7 episodes or whatever, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, so we got some video game news. Nintendo announced a mini NES preloaded with 30 games, including Zelda 1 and 2, Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3, Punch-Out, Castlevania 1 and 2, Mega Man, and a whole bunch more. So, yep, buying that second it comes out.
Yeah, it was basically like there was an old like cheat book I used to have that was like, here are cheats and strategies for like all these NES games, and it's basically like the same list.
Yeah, like Donkey Kong, like it's just all these really cool games.
Bubble Bobble, all that stuff.
Yes, I cannot wait. I can't wait till they do the Super Nintendo version of that. Holy shit.
Well, because they'd have to pack 100 games on that thing.
Exactly. I'd even take like a Game Boy Advanced one too, like a Game Boy Advanced for the Super Nintendo one.
Yeah.
You like put in a thing.
I'd be alright with that.
Oh yeah, dude. You could have like a lot of Pokemon games in it. But anyway, Pokemon Go. Game's already been downloaded 30 million times, made estimated 35 million. And I guess the panel at Comic-Con moved from 500 seat room to Hall H.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Do you think they're gonna put a legendary in that room?
I would almost think they'd have to.
They'd have to. They'd have to drop a Mewtwo or something in there. That
or
would
something, or just I don't know, just like something like ultra rare. You know,
that's how you do it.
Yeah, because I imagine Dittos are not tremendously common.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've seen one. That's how you do it. Bingo! You put one of those in those rooms. That makes everybody want to stand outside and get into that room and be there for something.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. We got some Rise of the Tomb Raider news. GameStop Italy website leaks release date of the PlayStation 4 version of the game for October 11th. I guess confirmed by Square Enix. 20th Anniversary Edition also available, which will include all DLC and 3 new pieces of content: a co-op endurance mode, Laura's Nightmare, which is zombies, Blood Ties, exploration of the Croft Manor without combat, which will also be a PSVR compatible. So pretty much it'll be one of those experiences. It seems like that's what a lot of these PlayStation things are, and it's kind of got me worried.
Well, but I mean, the thing with this is like it's not a standalone thing. Like this wasn't a game designed for this. They were like, oh hey, by the way, we can do this kind of cool thing that you can do with VR if you want.
True. Problem it has for me though is I've already played the game and I'm not spending $60 on it. So I'll wait. You know, hopefully maybe they do the PS compatible, the VR compatible thing as a separate thing later on, like a $10 thing you could download.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
No, not at all. And it'd be enough time. I don't know. We'll see when the VR comes out. We got some Dead Rising news. Leaked trophy list indicated first game in franchise coming to PlayStation 4.
Yeah, because they can't do Dead Rising 4 until December of next year on the PS4.
Right.
So they're going to go back and re-release the first one on PS4.
Makes sense. It was a cool game. PS4 Neo documents leaked detailing updating console. Highlights including all PlayStation 4 titles from October 2016 onward should support both PlayStation 4 and Neo, and games to have a higher frame rate, improved graphics, etc.
Yeah, it was mostly technical. Like it was all like here's the slight boost in everything so it upscales all this. Like that's all the kind of stuff that just goes over my head.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the Xbox One S, there's a 2 terabyte version of the Slim console to be available on August 2nd. Other versions to be available at a later date.
Yeah, they're doing a 1 terabyte and a 500 gig, but they surprisingly don't have a date for them yet.
Oh yeah, and from what I understand, Twitch is also going to live stream some Comic Con panels. So like Google that, look that up. It didn't
Really?
tell me which ones, but I imagine they're not like the big Star Wars trailer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I imagine it's a lot like maybe like the Pokemon Go one and stuff like that. That would be super cool. I'm definitely watching that if that's the case. Um, there were some Pokemons announced for Sun and Moon. Did you get a look at any of them?
Yeah, one of them honestly looks like a lei. It really looks like a Hawaiian lei, and I
It's
thought
adorable.
it is, but I'm just like really. But they've stuck eyes on an ice cream cone and called that a Pokemon, so I guess I can't complain.
And to be fair, I think almost all of the ones that I've seen from the new game I like. It's not like, was it Platinum or whatever a few ago that were like almost all of them were really bad.
Yeah.
This is yes, that's the one that stuck out where it was like, okay, that's a lay, that's an item you saw, but it's a Hawaiian theme, so I was like, I don't know, I don't hate it as much as like the ice cream cone, or the garbage bag one or
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah.
There was one called Mimiku, I think,
Man,
or
that thing
Mimic
looked
You.
creepy as hell.
I loved it. I loved the internet just fell in love with it, and they showed all these different memes and stuff. And
Man,
it
like it.
the whole idea is it mimics the Pokemon, and so like it mimics the top part of it looks like Pikachu.
Yeah.
It
It
looks creepy, but at the same time, I was like,
it looks
that's
like
awesome.
man, that thing looks like the special referee in the match between the Ring and the Grudge.
It does, but at the same time, I'm like, that's cool. That's a different way to do it, and that's
It's
just such a cool idea.
oh, it's different, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I loved it. I can't wait. Now that the Pokemon Go, I'll fully admit, pulled out my 3DS. I'm back into Ruby. I'm back into X, and I even am back in because I was like, I want to play Soul Silver. Like I just remember how awesome that game was.
Yeah.
Started. So, I'm full on Pokemon mode right now. Um, all right, man. Well, let's get into because we got this segment, we got the next one to kind of break down reviews and whatnot. Dude, I've just been so busy, didn't get too much into Life Debt. I like what I've been reading so far. You want to tell me briefly, I guess, what did you finish it?
I got through most of it.
You
Um,
read so much faster than I
I
do.
do.
Like it's so hard to keep up with your one book a week. But tell us what did you think of it?
It's what I've read is like I kind of agree with the reviews. Like it's not bad, but I don't know. I'm still spoiled after Lost Stars because Lost Stars was so good.
It really was.
And what was it? Bloodline was also really good. Like I really enjoyed that.
Oh yeah.
But like I don't the aftermath like we're kind of I don't want to say we're 0 for 2 because the first one was not bad. This one is not bad, but I don't know. Like I expect more, and I'm not getting it.
I don't think we are going to be getting it from the Aftermath series.
Yeah,
Um, what's her name? What's the woman's name that did
that did
Lost
blood.
Stars?
Yeah, I knew you were gonna ask me that, and I totally forgot. But yeah, because she was the one she did Bloodline too,
Right, right.
and that's why both of those have been my favorite.
Oh yeah. No, well, hold on. That's Adam Levine. Hold on.
What? No.
Yeah, I looked up Lost Stars. Claudia Gray.
Thank you.
Yes. So I want to know whatever her next book is. And yeah, I mean, when we get to Thrawn, that's of course going to be one that we're both going to just melt over.
Well,
Um,
and that one partially because Timothy Zahn has that track record with that character. I mean, his Thrawn trilogy is fantastic.
exactly. Yeah. 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 No, I don't. I didn't even. Oh God, I gotta pick a book, don't I?
Yep.
Um, let's do this. Shit. I don't have any. I'll tell you what. I'll get one on our break, and when we get back, we'll talk about it, and
Okay.
I'll pick it then. Um, but yeah, Read Life Debt. I'm gonna finish it because I freaking love it. It's just with this new thing with work and everything else. I won't get into it, but it's just been super stressful in the time that I'm away from it. I've been obsessed with Pokemon Go and watching a new series that I've been in love with, and I think you like too, Stranger Things.
So good. So good.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it not too long ago. I feel like we've mentioned it before. We thought, hey, this is a cool idea. And that was it. And then I forgot about it. And then I saw it pop up on my Facebook feed, a news article that was like, this thing's going to take over your weekend. If you love the 80s, go watch it now. And I was like, I completely forgot about it. I was like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to see this. Um, and then it was funny because I posted it on Facebook and all my friends started commenting. Can't stop. Oh my God. I'm in episode 5, like do the for like a day or two, and I'm like, oh shit, I haven't even started it, and I'm getting excited, and then I sat down with it. I couldn't stop. I think I did it all in no, I 2 days, 2 days, yeah. But yeah, one night I just sat down and watched it, and I was like, this is awesome. I can't stop. I can't stop. And then the last few episodes I finished on the last day. Um, yeah, dude, what did you think of it?
It's everything. Like if you're like, I want another '80s Stephen King miniseries.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's exactly that. It's 8 episodes. It's about the kids. It's all this. It's everything you would want.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it's
it's Goonies. It is Stand by Me. It's a little bit of Aliens, a little bit of The Thing.
there's
Like if
it's I love this. It's basically Goonies meets The Thing meets E.T.
it's even got a little Carrie, and yeah, like
A little bit.
dude, it's honestly like oh why did my mind just go blank? The Spielberg movie that's coming out with the game, the book,
Ready Player One.
it's like a Ready Player One type of like nostalgia trip. It's not on the nose as much as that, of course, but like they mention like Evil Dead and like it's like E.T. It's like everything that you like of that genre. If any of these movies we've said makes you sit up a little bit straighter and get a little smile on your face, go watch this. It's like the Goonies. It's like Fog. It's so cool. Like I just, I mean, it even has like a little bit of a Jaws feel to it. Because when the
Yeah.
cop can't, is trying to figure everything out. Now that my mind's like, I'm like, holy shit, they're literally just tapping into all of this stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a fantastic Stephen King Spielberg mashup. It
oh yeah,
it
it's a love
really
letter to
is.
all of that.
It absolutely is.
And that's exactly what I explained it to this girl. I've explained to my parents. I was like, it's an amazing Stephen King novel told in 8 chapters on Netflix, and it's not Stephen King.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what it is. And I love that they do that. They're like chapter one, the vanishing, blah blah blah, and then it goes on and on and on. And I love that it's broken up in chapters, and the theme, dude, the music from it.
Oh, the soundtrack is amazing.
I'm just like, this is totally Axiom Verge. This is totally and of course Axiom Verge gets it all. I'm like, this is 80s sci-fi to the T. We keep saying sci-fi. There's fantasy stuff in there too. They can mention Lord of the Rings. They're playing Dungeons and Dragons, and uh, from what I understand, there's talks of doing a sequel. They're not even they don't want to call it a season 2 because they think of it as a movie, a long 8-hour movie.
Yeah, it's a mini series. It's done.
Exactly. And they said that they want to do a second one and to not think of it as season 2 but as a sequel because there are some things that are just left over. There are some things that, I'm not going to spoil or anything at all, but it definitely opens it up for a season 2 or a sequel to it, and everyone's talking about it. I can't imagine this doesn't have a season 2. Cuz everyone on my Facebook feed is like, this is great, this is fantastic, this is awesome, give me more, give me more. Ryback. Uh, but
Well,
yeah, man, yeah. I don't know what else to say about it. If you haven't seen it, go see it.
yeah,
It's
oh,
on
it's absolutely
Netflix.
worth the time. And I love how they told it in 8 episodes. They didn't feel the need to drag it out or anything. Like, here's the story, this is it.
Oh yeah, that's what some of my friends were like. It's only 8 episodes. I'm like, but that's not a bad thing, because then we'd have 2 extra episodes or 4 extra episodes where it's like suddenly they get lost and do this thing that doesn't really matter to the end of the story.
Exactly. That's one thing that I love so much about content on Netflix is
mhm.
they don't have to fill an episode order.
Yep.
They don't have to write to 22 or to 13. They write the story. And then if that works out to 13 episodes, great. If it works out to 8 episodes, great. If it works out to 4 episodes, great. It's the story. And there's no need to try to puff it up or anything.
Oh yeah, and don't worry, we got plenty of things coming to Netflix. We have all the Marvel stuff. Um, Gosh, I don't even know. There's a lot of things coming. I just can't think off the top of my head. Um, but yeah, there's tons of stuff to watch. If you think, oh man, I want more, go watch Marco Polo. Go watch both seasons of that, because the second season of that just dropped about a week or so ago. I think we got Luke Cage soon, don't we?
It's yeah, it's a couple months.
Yeah, and also they just announced Making a Murderer 2. That's the thing. It's gonna happen, and it's gonna be released on Netflix soon.
Yeah. I
So it's
need
like,
to go. I need to go watch Narcos. That's the one. That's the one
yep,
that looks really interesting to me.
yep, Narcos definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, the season 2 of that is coming. And I think that's it. They're only doing a season 2 because obviously he lived for only so long.
Right. You
Um,
you get to the end of that story.
yeah, exactly. They're not gonna take him into space or anything like that. There's so many shows I need to catch up on too. I'm just starting to watch Sense8. Actually, that's another one. Go watch that one. That I completely forgot. That's a fantastic show. I've watched like 2 or 3 episodes. It's so good, so good. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. When we get back, we're gonna talk about wrestling. Can you listen to We Geek podcast on the N.FM? See you in a minute. Welcome back to We Geek podcast on the N.FM. And hey man, tell me the story you just told me on break.
Okay, so you were talking about you caught a ghastly today. I
Yep.
caught one yesterday morning. Oh my god. So every morning I wake up, I roll over, I grab my phone, I check Pokemon Go. It's the first thing I do in the morning. And there's always something nearby, so I'm always like I'm not like, oh, I got to get up and do this. Like I just lay in my bed and point it at the ceiling. And usually whatever comes up will be right there. So the other morning I do that, and I don't even look at what's around because it's always the same basic Weedles, Caterpies, Rattatas, what have you. So I'm like, oh, there's something here, press it, and then I look up, and there's a ghastly sitting very large, dead center of the screen, looking like it's floating above my bed. I screamed so loud I scared the cat. Like all of a sudden, like it genuinely freaked me out for a second. I was like, ah.
Nice,
not
nice.
not fun. I mean, it's fun to look back on now, but like in the moment, it was just like, oh my god, there's a ghost over my bed. I'm screwed. And then I was like, oh wait, it's Pokemon. Hang on, and I caught him. But like
Yeah.
for that moment, I was like, yes. Oh man.
Yeah, I was just sitting at my desk, kind of like near my bed, and I saw it on the screen, and it is big. And I captured it, and then it froze with the ball, and I thought, no,
Oh,
no. And then I closed the game out, and I bring it back up, and it said I caught it, and I was like, yes, this is
nice.
awesome. Yeah, so, whew, all right. So yeah, we don't have that much time. Let's get into, and I'm gonna let you kind of steer this with the WWE draft.
Yeah, they did the first live edition of SmackDown tonight, and they did the first few rounds of the draft, and then they did the rest of the draft on the network afterwards. But they didn't draft everybody. Like Heath Slater didn't get drafted, which they kind of made a bit of a gag at the end, which I thought was cute, but whatever. I'm just gonna kind of run down the list because I think that's about all we'll have time for. Um, the first round, Raw picked up Seth Rollins, Charlotte, and Finn Balor, which is awesome. We're going to see Finn on the main roster now. SmackDown got Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles. That could be interesting. Second round, Raw picked up Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, depending on the results of his drug tests, and The New Day. So that's going to be cool. SmackDown got John Cena and Randy Orton. A couple more big yawns. Third round, Raw picked up Sami Zayn, Sasha Banks.
Hey,
Yeah.
John Cena's probably their biggest get, though.
Yeah, but nobody likes him.
You know what? I gotta say, I kind of like him. Like, I think he's awesome in the ring. You know, I get it that he's not like the fan draw, but he does a good job.
Eh.
I think he does. I
That's
think he was great with Enzo and Cass, and I don't know. Now that's not gonna happen.
I love well, but I do love how on Raw this past week when they had all of these guys in the ring cutting promos, you suddenly had Old Man Cena.
Right. But he's good in the ring, is what I'm saying. Like, he's really good.
Man, I've got to disagree with that.
Okay, all right. We agree to disagree.
We agree to disagree. Uh, Raw got Sami Zayn, Sasha Banks, and Chris Jericho, so they went 2 for 3 in that round. SmackDown picked up Bray Wyatt, not the Wyatt family, and Becky Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth round, Raw got Rusev, who comes with Lana, Kevin Owens, excellent, and Enzo and Cass, which is fantastic.
Yep.
SmackDown picked up The Miz, who comes with Maurice, and Baron Corbin, which was an interesting choice.
Mm-hmm.
Fifth round, Raw picked up the rest of the club, Gallows and Anderson. Now, they don't have AJ Styles, so they have the original club. Before it was Bullet Club, it was Balor Club. So expect to see Gallows and Anderson and Finn Balor teaming up to form the original version of the club at some point.
Mm-hmm.
They also picked up the Big Show for some reason, and Nia Jax got the call up from NXT, which I thought was odd, but
Mm-hmm.
okay. SmackDown picked up Dolph Ziggler, whose stock fluctuates from hour to hour, and they got American Alpha, which is the most awesome tag team NXT has right now. So that's going to be really interesting. Sixth round, where are we here? Raw picked up Neville, returning from his leg injury, Cesaro, and Sheamus. So again, 2 for 3.
Mm-hmm.
SmackDown got Natalia and Alberto Del Rio, so 1 for 2, maybe, depending on the booking. Alberto could be good. I'll never forget the day that I accidentally cut him off in traffic on the way to Full Sail. Because I didn't know. Like, I'm late for class. I got to get over right here. And then I got out in the parking lot, and further down in the same parking lot, out gets, at the time, World Heavyweight Champion Alberto Del Rio. And I'm thinking, I need to run, like, right now. Like, that's my only famous person story, pretty much.
I ran into Paige.
There you
Picture
go.
with her.
Yeah, and they're now on separate shows. Because in the 7th round, Raw got the Golden Truth, Titus O'Neil, and
Yes.
Paige.
Have you seen the Golden Truth shirts?
Oh my god.
I want that.
I don't know, man.
I'm kind of bummed Paige was bumped to that round. Like, she should have been way up there.
Yeah, big time. There's a couple of them like that the further down we get. SmackDown got the Usos and Kane, but they actually named him Demon Kane, which they only do when they're making a difference between him and Corporate Kane, and I hate that. I don't like Corporate Kane at all. In the 8th round, Raw picked up Darren Young, Sin Cara, and Jack Swagger. There's a mid-card in a nutshell.
Yep.
SmackDown picked up Kalisto and Naomi, who is severely underrated. I was always bummed Naomi never got the push that she deserved. And she has an awful finishing maneuver. The rear view is a catastrophe, and it needs to be scrapped immediately. The 9th round saw Raw pick up the Dudley Boys, Summer Rae, and Mark Henry. So we, 1 for 3 there, maybe, depending on what they do with the Dudleys. SmackDown grabbed Zack Ryder and Apollo Crews, which is an interesting duo. 10th round saw Raw pick up Braun Strowman, Bo Dallas, and the Shining Stars, who are Primo and Epico, who used to be Los Matadores, if I'm also not mistaken. So they've had, 8 gimmicks in the time they've been in WWE, and this one looks like it's actually going to be the worst one.
Jeez.
SmackDown, not to be outdone, picked up Breezango, the Vaudevillains, and getting called up to the main roster from NXT, Eva Marie. I could do an entire podcast of just how pissed off I am about this.
Yeah.
Because she's awful and she's terrible and the reason she gets booed is because this is one. It's not like Roman Reigns where you look at him and you go, well, he has some talent and he tries, but he's just boring and we really don't like him. Eva Marie is awful, top to bottom, mic, ring, the whole thing, and she doesn't seem like she puts in the effort, so everybody hates her. To her credit, she milks that hate. She uses that heat like crazy, but she still puts on disastrous performances in the ring. So that's just, that makes me crazy.
I've seen her on the Divas thing, I think.
That's
the
really,
red hair.
Yeah.
And then someone got upset because someone else had red hair, and they're like, "You're stealing my red hair gimmick."
Oh, that's Total Divas is just total crap.
I actually liked it. I saw her page when she goes to the basement in Orlando. I was like, I go to that place all the time. It was weird to watch it.
Yeah. And the last round of the draft, Raw grabbed Alicia Fox, Dana Brooke, and Curtis Axel. So maybe 1 for 3, maybe 2 if they really work with Curtis. SmackDown picked up Eric Rowan, Mojo Rawley. So the Hype Bros are now both on SmackDown. And Carmella, which is awesome to see her get called up from NXT because she has really put in the work and she has really gotten awesome. And I'm bummed that she's not going to be back with Enzo and Cass like she used to be in NXT, but she's a fantastic, strong performer in her own right. Mm-hmm. I am really surprised no Shinsuke Nakamura and no Bayley.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That really messed me up. Those were 2 that I absolutely expected, no question, and they weren't there. I'm not surprised they didn't draft Samoa Joe, but yeah, no Bayley and no Nakamura really kind of floored me.
Yeah, same here. I don't know much about NXT like you do, but the Nakamura thing especially, and I know Bayley, she's been like great apparently in NXT. Like it should have been their way a long time ago.
She should have been there with the rest of the 4 Horsewomen. Like her, Becky, Charlotte, Sasha, they all should have gotten called up at the same time.
Yeah, I don't get it. But anyway, we are running out of time. We'll talk more about it next week. We'll get more into thought because we didn't have much time this week. Again, go to We Geek Podcast on Facebook. Where I'm going to be posting about the Pegasus thing. You're listening to this, it should be posted already on the group, and I'm going to post it on a bunch of other stuff tomorrow. But go to our Facebook group. Of course, go to our Twitter, at Adam Esep, at The Logan Witt, at We Geek Podcast. And listen to us on the N.FM every Wednesday at 9, and I think that's it. Captain?